Welcome to the second Global Impact Virtual Conference hosted by ISTE Plus ASTD community leaders. I'm Olga Kasarina, one of the ISTE Plus ASTD community leaders and a member of the global team. We have an incredible lineup of speakers today, and this session's presenters are one of them as well. So this session is in a mix of English and Arabic. If you need to turn on the captions, please do so by following the directions using the link in the chat. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Alex Boggs from USA, a teacher, researcher, filmmaker, and ISTE community leader in Virginia, USA. He leverages his extensive experience in history education and his passion for storytelling to explore the power of video and AI in fostering critical thinking and immersive historical simulations. It's also my pleasure to introduce Rawan Adawi from Lebanon, an ISTE certified EdTech leader and ICT teacher at Memphis in Istanbul, Turkey, who excels in integrating coding, digital literacy, and AI into primary education, notably guiding students in creating SDG-focused documentaries and fostering professional learning networks among Arab educators. Alex Boggs and Rawan El Adawi, take it away.
Thank you very much, Olga. Merhaba and welcome to all. Rawan taught me that yesterday as we were practicing, so I hope I got it right.
You did.
Thank you. Well, today we are going to be presenting on global collaboration for digital storytelling, and we hope that it is going to be impactful to you. So as Olga said, I'm Dr. Alex Boggs. I've worked with documentaries for years, and working with video actually sparked conversation between Rawan and I, and so that led to a project that she was working on.
So welcome everyone. This is Rawan, and I will be telling you what are the main parts of our session today, which is the first thing we're going to talk about is design thinking as an approach to learning and why we extremely use it with different areas, projects on a global scale, and in the third part, place-based stories, something interesting to know about, and digital tools for storytelling. I'm going to move on. Design thinking as an approach to learning. As educators, we have to follow some sort of structuring the way the students think or develop their projects and how they need to always refine their products. So we follow some approaches. Design thinking is something to incorporate with any grade level. I use it with kindergarten, and I also use it with grade 5 when they're graduating elementary, and I've used it with secondary students as well. And I'm sure Dr. Alex can also use it in his own way as well, in his projects in higher ed, for example, with the students. And if you are not familiar with design thinking, you can find numerous templates on Canva. These are hyperlinked, and we will be sharing the link of this presentation with you at the end of the session on this Google chat, on this YouTube channel. You can customize your templates as well about design thinking. Canva is your go-to if you want to customize something quickly, share a template, and have the students duplicate it and work on it. أنا نسيت إنه لازم أحكي بالعربي, so I will start talking in Arabic right now. هون حأعطي الستيج لدكتور Alex or Alex to talk about projects on a global scale.
So a lot of what our conversations have hinged on have been expanding collaboration across borders, and our first conversation was really based in this, that we wanted to collaborate on how we were producing videos and how Rawan was producing videos with her students, and what kind of expertise that I could offer there. But a lot of my background actually comes from history. So I teach European history predominantly, and this was really my first foray into how to develop kind of a global mindset from my perspective. So whenever I teach European history, I'm always teaching it through a couple of different lenses. So I'm always getting students to look at primary sources as their first place to go, so they can engage with the original translations and the original works from people, because then that immerses them in the time that they need to be in. So I always think about primary sources first and getting to those original documents. I also think about language and translation as part of this model, because in Europe, as I teach European history to undergraduate students, there's a lot of things that they're not going to be familiar with, especially being predominantly from the United States. So they're not necessarily fluent in other languages. So we deal with and grapple with languages and translation. And I've used the image of the Grimm's brothers here to kind of represent that. And then I also like to teach history through different perspectives. So we often look at history as moored through one perspective over another, rather than seeing the multiple perspectives that actually make up the tapestry of the past. And so as we go on, I kind of look at how we develop history as a way to see different cultures through different lenses. And through that, I like to talk about how trying to recapture the original essence of histories and all of these things, and all of these things that actually take place within this broader scope. And really video gives us the means to which to tell some of these stories in a way that's kind of outside of just textbooks and letters and all of these things, and make it to a visual place. So I've got an interesting little form on our next slide that is a sample of something that I've worked with some of my students to get them to go through primary sources a little bit more carefully, look at them a little bit more clearly, and change their perspective on what they're learning. So this is kind of my background with European history and teaching that, and kind of helping students see things from not just an American standpoint, but something from the standpoint of both people in the past and something on a global scale. So I think Rawan, I think we're going to transition into our next part on digital storytelling, and where we kind of started off with her projects.
Thank you, Alex. Yes, certainly. There are so many things to share about building documentaries. I'm going to continue in Arabic now. اشتغلت على documentaries مع تلاميذ بالجريد 5، وكيف نعمل documentaries، كيف نعمل الفيلمينج، وكيف to develop them step by step. واستعنت بأليكس كتير، تواصلنا virtually. time zone ما كتير ساعدتنا، ما قدرت جيبه as a guest speaker، بس قدرت إنه أتواصل معه شوف on the way إذا نحن on the right track. حفرجيكم بالجيرني تاعتنا شو صار. أول شيء بلشنا نعمل مثل scaffolding, like what are the tools اللي بنستعملهم لل making movies. As you can see Mentimeter استعملته كرمال جيب أجوبة من التلاميذ، يعني أكتر شيء كانوا كلهم بيعرفوا CapCut, iMovie some of them, and Canva, and the rest is minor. بعدين اشتغلنا على التكنيك إنه you can see over here استعملوا vid.io كرمال يعملوا video making. vid.io هو free website, it's for free, and you can يعني بيعملوا video editing on the cloud saved online, and they can explore in a very basic way what is the timeline وكيف يعملوا split, trim, all these techniques. ومن هون بلشنا نكتشف إنه أوكي أنا بس بدي استعمل بالدوكيومنتري تبعي مثلا صور أو هيك، لازم يكون عندهم يعني copy rights معينين، يعني ننتبه على copy rights. So استعملنا شيء اسمه pixels to download free videos, free pictures, and use them to first develop the skills يلي بدهم إياها. على بلوكت شفنا كيف إنه they wanted to practice إنه شو هن ال sustainable development goals. واشتغلت مع 2 classes 5A و 5B بحبوا يعملوا competition بيناتهم. So we documented the percentage of their rate. So if you notice أنا عم بستعمل هون Transformational Learning Principles. We cultivated belonging, what they know about as in video editing, which groups they want to work with, عن شو بدهم يحكوا. في قسمناهم لجروبس إذا شايفين، ونقوا هن الكونتريز اللي بدهم يحكوا عنها global problems around the world. So each group tackled one country with a major crisis affected by war or by other crises. So we took Palestine, Syria, Sudan, Yemen, Yugoslavia, and Ukraine. and كمان التلاميذ هن حددوا شو التول اللي بدهم يستعملوها. يعني هن they chose the tool as CapCut or Canva and they wanted to learn more about it. بدهم يتعلموها. So we connected learning to the learner's interest and we ensured that everybody is comfortable with the group that they're working with. They choose the tool. يعني عطيناهم choice للتلاميذ. واكيد علمتهم كيف يعملوا prompt بجوجل كرمال يلاقوا يعني the right information they need للولاد لما يلاقوا شيء inappropriate for their age. So علمناهم how to write the prompt. هون استعنت بأليكس واتصلنا أنا وياه سوا وكرمال نحكي إنه how to start. قلت له شو بلشنا. Dr. S, do you want to share more about our first communication about this?
Yeah, when we first talked, you were kind of in the pre-production phase, and I think this was kind of the first time that we put some of these words into the context of what you're doing, because you're really framing the students into what they're doing. You're getting them to get involved and express something that they are interested in to then do the rest of their project. And then we got into a few other things we'll talk about, I guess, in a slide or two, with copyright and kind of the production quality. And you alluded to some of those things too, of working on the timeline and all of those things. But yeah, it was a good conversation.
Thank you. Yes. And the next thing we did here, I started guiding the students further. يعني بلشت هون بدي أشوف شو هن عندهم curiosity أكتر. So if you notice كمان I'm incorporating transformational learning principles, sparking their curiosity, developing expertise of how فينا نعمل documentary, كيف to plan it, عملوا research and documenting بجوجل دوكس, استعملوا template على Canva to plan their documentary, شو بدهم exactly to target, what is the sustainable development goal يلي هن بدهم يعملوا connection معه ليعملوا الدوكيومنتري. وكمان فتشوا على resources on YouTube of videos, documentary videos that show these cases, because eventually بدهم to incorporate whole information وكمان to film themselves talking about these issues to raise awareness. وهون كمان again وأنا إنه كان عندنا questions يعني إنه قد إيه لازم أنا آخذ من يوتيوب فيديو إذا أنا عم بعمل documentary. كان لازم آخذ أكتر من 30 ثانية or أقل. So how many seconds should I incorporate in my documentary? When does it count as plagiarism? إمتى فيي أنا أحمي حالي ما أوقع بplagiarism؟ هون كمان عملنا research, شفنا videos, أخذنا tips online من quizzes, وآخر شيء كمان again cross-checking with Alex to see more about copyright. Do you want to share like some tips, Alex, or anything you want to add here when we cross-checked?
Yeah, so generally we kind of talked about fair use as kind of like my metric for teaching students. And I think for most cases for the students that we're working with, they're not really going to make a lot of money from it. So it's really good to kind of follow fair use as a guideline, which is really kind of more in the United States, but kind of is a good metric for looking at it worldwide. So as long as you're not taking it and just ripping it for your own good or making money from it in that way, and you're using it in small chunks to kind of prove a point, kind of develop an argument. That's kind of how we couched that conversation with fair use. There's a lot more to fair use, but I don't think we're going to get into that now. But I think that was useful for your students to kind of see, if I just use little clips, then we're going to stay on this safe side and you're able to get their voice too.
Exactly. وفعلا هيك صار. استعملنا 30 seconds والباقي كان هن their words, they used their own words, عملوا their own scenario و they filmed themselves. هيدا اللي صار. Eventually طلعوا ب 6 videos. We shared them مع grade 5 community, مع teachers, مع parents. We posted them for them. وبعدين هون الحلو إنه الانquiry did not stop here. أخذنا بmaking conclusions عملنا مثل جوجل فورم they self-evaluated عملوا مثل تقييم للشغل تبعهم إنه نحن شو ناقص هيدا الفيديو they rated عملوا rating للفيديوز وعلى التكنيكس وعلى what is missing وهيدول خلونا نحط مثل personal goals for each group شو لازم to focus on شو الاشياء اللي لازم نركز عنها for our future documentary videos. So هون we kind of empowered the students, we prioritized يعني their experience and we built on these challenges how to improve them and we made sure إنه هن they take action. Eventually اللي صار إنه استعملنا all of our skills لنعمل documentary ما فيي ألعبه. I cannot play the video now because it has their like pictures for copyrights. But they made a 10 minutes video. We played it in front of the wider community يلي هو ال high school students. بدي أقول لكم شغلة. We are an international school وعنا up to 400 تلميذ 400 kids and we are all different nationalities. مدرستي أكثر من 53 nationality فيها. More than 53 nationality in our school. So playing this video in front of multinational students is a big is a big thing. It's a big change and to inspire a wider community from different countries. يعني تنعمل inspiration. وهون حننتقل على this slide where Alex can talk more about the higher ed.
So along the way of all of our conversations, we realized we were really doing the same thing. I just kind of gave different words to the process that Rawan was already doing. And I kind of want to start backwards and then go forwards. The debrief and form that she sent out with her students is probably one of the most important parts of this whole process. That you get that information, you get what kind of in the film industry is known as like a postmortem. It's also known in the medical industry as that, but that's they kind of co-opted that term. But you understand what's going on after the fact, that what worked well, what didn't work well, and how you can improve going forward. And so then when we talk about documentary film, I always kind of divide it into the three sections of pre-production, production, and post-production. I'm not going to get terribly into the weeds on any of this, but when I guide my students in documentary film through this, we engage in pre-production. We're looking at what's our research question, how are we framing this question, what are we interested in, where are we located, what's going on, what's kind of the plot that we're going for, what resources do we need, all of these things. And really, because I'm teaching history as well, I'm getting them to frame an argument through this video. The production phase is a lot shorter than what people would initially think, because this is the spot, if you've done the first part correctly, you're really just showing up to location, filming your things, or collecting any videos or anything else that you need. And then that phase is pretty much done. And then you enter into post-production, which is where you're putting everything together. This is probably one of the most important components, because you can see that if students film the same thing and they all have the same access to the same materials and they're all editing different scripts off of that, they can have vastly different final products. So we can see the meaning making in action, even through the process of post-production, where they're putting their story together, they're getting ready to release it, and they're holding to what they had in their initial research inquiry, and then showing that off to everyone else. So that's pretty much the same thing that Rawan did. I just added a few little, a few different words to it, and added the history component. So we're doing the same thing. It's a fascinating process.
I want to say that your guidance along the way helped me know that I am doing the right thing with the kids, and because it was my first experience with them. كانت أول experience لإلي وأليكس helped me ساعدني كتير إنه أعرف حالي عم بشتغل صح وإنه عم بعمل plagiarism or لا. والحلو إنه الأولاد تعلموا skills نحن ما عملناها قبل. So thank you, Alex, for your guidance.
Absolutely. And then we kind of transition into place-based stories, which is a fascinating topic that we can that really is good for documentaries, especially the ones that I work with, um, because it's all really about where my students are, because they're all kind of in different locations, and so we have a lot of different things that we have in store for the place-based aspect of this.
Thank you, Alex. حبلش أنا أحكي عن my experience with Flip. I know Flip is migrated now into Microsoft and it doesn't exist anymore. But I'm going to show experience that I had with 3 different countries. أحكي بالعربي now. Intercultural collaboration. Collaboration between Lebanon, India, and Germany. This was مع grade 2 students. بلشنا عم بيكتشفوا cultures and what are cultures and they're inquiring into this. And again, نحن PYP school, IB program, and we follow the inquiry cycle. So inquiring into cultures, identity, what represents me as a Lebanese or as a German or as an Indian, and how do we say hi, how do we greet each other, so many things. استعملنا flip for making conversations. صارت مثل collaboration مع 3 educators. We had 47 members within this. كان عنا 29 exchange of 29 فيديو 5 messages some of them على هيدا التوبيك بس في عنا أكتر يعني في عنا 54 فيديو على say hello. So huge exchange of videos between students from 3 different countries. اللي عم تشوفوا هو pictures of students from Beirut, Frankfurt and Delhi. And you can see الاوتفيت كيف هو انه they are showing how they greet وعم بيحكوا عن الكالتشر تاعيتهم. Here يعني we kind of like connected with the ST standard collaborator 2.4C. We collaborated on tools to expand the students' experience. We made it authentic for them. So we're kind of hitting on many ST standards here and many things in the transformational learning principles. الحلو بهالشيء that the students not only posted videos, but they reviewed each other's videos وكتبوا comments on each other's videos. So you can see the number of comments that they left for each other. So صار مثل collaboration, they're watching each other videos, they're commenting on them, they're only grade 2 students. It was an amazing collaboration for them to learn about cultures. وهون هانتقل عند Alex to talk more about such place-based filming.
So yes, so all of the documentaries that my students produce are really based in where they are. So I kind of chose a few different pictures here to base kind of the general projects. So we've got battlefields, we've got bridges, and then we got families as kind of the key focus points for most of my students. So they find places that are local to them, that they're interested in, they think that are significant to them. And they tell the story of that place, but they place it within this broader context of what's going on nationally or what's going on in the world around. So I call this, and this is kind of generally known in history, as going from the general to the particular, or vice versa, from the particular to the general. So you take a very local and small story and you expand it out and give it context in the general, or you take a very broad story and then you look at one very specific aspect of it. And a lot of times history, you go back and forth with this. And so we see with our students that place or home or location becomes very significant. So I've had students do stories about coal country in the Appalachian Mountains. I've had students do videos about their family leaving Japan and Okinawa to go to the United States and telling that story through their very personal lens, but also connecting that to a broader history. And so we see that place becomes not just a place or an aspect to set a film, but it becomes a place to make an argument. It becomes a platform to frame the whole story and to practice history in a different way. And for a lot of students, it makes them feel connected to what they're presenting because it is where they're from or something that is significant to them. So I think next we talk about how you do a lot of this stuff that we've talked about. We say, okay, we've had all these great projects. We've alluded to some of the tools, but how do you do it? What are the means to doing it? So we're going to cover a few of those in both the video format, but then a few other areas that we're still working on.
Thank you, Alex. We're going to start أول شيء مع game-based applications that we can use مع students بالelementary, even in kindergarten. CodeSpark is about coding, but also you have storytelling in it. CodeSpark free. You can use it online, create تعملوا educator account وتزيدوا students عليها. You connect their devices through a code. وفي شيء اسمه ستوري تيلينج there. اللي بيصير انه التلاميذ فيهم يحددوا الكاركترز الباك جراوند وثرو كودينج سكيلز. so you're teaching them coding skills. عم تعلمون coding بس at the same time عم نعمل animation, عم نعمل storytelling because they can record, they can make the characters يروحوا left right, يحكوا مع بعض, ياكلوا بعض, ينطوا على بعض. I don't know. And الحلو في different scenes, فينا نعمل different scenes over here and they make their own story. So CodeSpark is really recommended for kindergarten, للgrade 1 وللgrade 2 students. أنا بستعمله مع هدول الأعمار يلي هن kindergarten و lower elementary. بالupper elementary عم نحكي grade 3 4 5 وحتى استعملت سكراتش أنا مع grade 7 8 و 9 students in another school. So Scratch is an amazing tool لتعلموا التلاميذ كيف يعملوا conversation و at the same time عم تعلمون critical thinking skills. عم بيعملوا logical reasoning, how to make a sequence order of steps, يعملوا conversation وعم they're developing analytical thinking about how to fix their code وكيف يعملوه in the right order, how to make it more interesting, كيف يعملوا animation. So هيدول game based applications we used مع students ب lower upper elementary or even middle school, for example. Now we move on to Alex.
Yes. So this is something that I've been trying to work on for the last few years, and I'm still working on developing products for these, or something for the students to use, both in kind of a tabletop role-playing game or like an interactive means. So some parts of that are simulation. Some parts of these are kind of like interactive storytelling, like Dungeons and Dragons, if y'all are familiar with that, or tabletop role-playing games, kind of the general term for that, where the students are coming up with the story as they're going along, but you have to have a lot of structure. You have to have a lot of things in place to say, oh, okay, well, if they make this decision, they're going to go this way, and then integrating all of these storytelling aspects to really kind of bring it into history so that students can interact with history and interact with the decisions of the past and the decisions that people had to make in a different way. So this is something that I'm working on. These are kind of the tools that I'm using, specifically Twine. And then the other one is just access to a copy of a planning guide if you were wanting to do this for yourself.
Thank you, Alex. وكمان a great way we talk about like digital storytelling, which is storyboards. نستعمل storyboards مع students. Again, فينا نبلش ب small part يلي هو using Puppet Pals too, or Puppet Pals. This is a really nice application بنستعملها على الiPads, and it's used by kindergarten, grade 1 and grade 2 students. So this is for lower elementary and kindergarteners. بيكونوا because لأنه ما عندهم typing skills كتير high, so بيستعملوا their oral speech, and they can develop a sequence of stories in it. So this is one tool. Storyboard that is really amazing. I've been using it, استعملتها for like more than 10 years now. كتير حلوة وبستعملها مع grade 3 4 5 وحتى مع upper grade levels. مرة استعملتها بteacher training. In a teacher training عطيتهم storyboard that to make a storyboard about something. It could be an exit ticket for something. It helps them develop the like their storytelling and those skills, and at the same time design skills as well. We're going to move on to higher education now with Alex.
Yeah, so these are actually a couple of examples that I use with my documentary film students. So we get them to plan out their storyboards. So it's just kind of the linear thinking of how they want their stories to look. And then I also get them to do what's called a shot log, which is basically showing them doing their work on location. Typically you'd say on set, but most of the time for our documentaries, it's on location. So they can track what they've done. They can take a picture of where they're at and say, okay, this is going to be this shot. I'm going to try to use it this way. And so it's basically like documentation and organization for all of that. So these are also links that I think they're actually linked earlier on. These are just pictures, but you can link to those as well.
I want to pause a little bit and say, Alex, that it was fascinating that when we were talking about these titles like storyboards or game-based, how like my simplified tools are really aligned with what you do, but on a more like, let's say, higher level app, you know. But it was really nice to see like how we're aligned with what we do with the kids.
Yeah, and it really just goes to show that the whole continuum is the same. They're doing the same things no matter what, and you can kind of just engage them at anywhere in the process.
Yes, thank you, Alex. Next, video editing for upper elementary. So شفتوا عنا بالدوكيومنتريز، شفتوا استعملنا فيد، حكينا عن iMovie, CapCut, Canva and Clips. All of these tools they teach the students. هلا Canva ما فيها كتير timeline، ما بتفرجيك كتير like the progression of a timeline like others, but they all have common things يلي هن trim، عندهم split، عندهم transitions, captions, music and templates. For elementary levels, this is what we need. Like these are the main skills يلي نحن بدنا نعلمهم لل-elementary students in video editing as technical skills of like editing movies. And then higher ed or maybe more advanced classes in secondary, for example, Alex?
Yeah, they're basically doing the same thing. So they need to use trim and cut tools just the same way. But then I get them to think in terms of A roll, B roll, what kind of iterative, what phase in the iterative process they're in. So you have assembly cuts, you have rough cuts, and you have final cuts, which, just different phases of organization of ideas. The assembly cut's a very rough, very, very rough cut. You've got all your stuff on the timeline that you want in a storyboard, and then you get all of your final cut, which is very, very polished. And so we both listed different tools that we use. So Rawan had a few that they could be nonlinear editors, but I've listed a few that are actually specifically nonlinear editors that you're lining things up on a timeline, cutting, trimming. You have multiple layers that you can stack things over top of each other. So A roll, B roll, things like that. So Rush, Premiere, DaVinci, and WeVideo are a few examples of those.
Thank you, Alex. Amazing stuff. Thank you guys for attending our session. And if you want to connect with us, you can find us on LinkedIn with these like handlings, with these handles. And I think you have them on the website too. If you have any questions, please, نحن ناطرين الchat. Tell us, we're here. هحط اللينك in the chat. I will put the link of this presentation in the chat.
Thank you so much, Alex and Rawan.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, that was a very powerful example of seeing how digital storytelling driven by design thinking can empower students to tackle global issues and the SDGs, fostering agency and cross-border collaboration. Thank you again for joining us today and sharing your expertise both in English and Arabic.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
This year, we wanted to add practical ways for educators to implement a global impact in their classrooms. We asked people to record quick videos with tips for doing just that. Now, let's learn how to get started implementing global impact from Marcela Danowski to learn about sparking creativity with SDGs.
Hello, everybody. Greetings from Buenos Aires, Argentina. My name is Marcela Danowski, and I want to share this presentation with all of you. It is called Sparkling Creativity and Critical Thinking Through the SDGs. And why this topic? Well, I think that in today's world, fostering creativity and critical thinking are a must, right? But at the same time, why not doing that through sustainability, right? This is a concept that it's way much more important than ever. So hopefully with this project that I'm going to share with you, you will manage to engage your students into exploring the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs. But at the same time, you will be able to integrate language learning and to inspire your students and to build essential 21st century skills. Okay, so are you ready? Let's explore it together. So, how is it that we can teach the SDGs into primary education and why teaching them? Well, it's very simple. You know that if you teach the SDGs in primary education, that will help your students to develop global awareness, to develop empathy, and to show responsibility, right? And by incorporating technology into all of this process, you can create engaging student-centered learning experiences that will make, or let's say that will present students with real world challenges that are more tangible, right? So you will create experiences that the students will never forget. So, in my experience, by using inquiry based learning, I think that I managed to empower my students as to take ownership of their learning. So, they explored the SDGs through very guided research, questioning, even collaborative discussions, right? Obviously, through a variety of thinking routines, for example, and obviously, with the right technological tools, they were always fully involved in this process, right? And made this a meaningful experience. So, thinking routines, right, encourage students so as to analyze these goals, right, and to relate them with issues that were actually happening in their world, right, and even to make them feel and understand the different perspectives. And by integrating digital literacy tools like mind maps, collaborative boards, and multimedia presentations, they even managed to deepen their understanding, their engagement, and even the critical thinking skills. We even used real images, art with not only thinking routines, but also slow looking, right? And technology has been a powerful tool so as to develop critical thinking, creativity, to foster communication, collaboration. So, through interactive tasks, students designed projects that made abstract issues way much more relatable and allowed them to express their ideas in creative and innovative ways, right? So, 21st century skills were in practice all the time, right? And therefore, as a final result, students felt way much more confident and fluent while expressing, right, their opinions and ideas. I want to share with you an example of their piece.
The goal 6 talked about the importance to us to get clean water. Many people in the world don't have clean water. I think what we can do Start recycling things that can pollute the water, like plastics, papers, and many things more. Thanks for listening!
So, as we can see, not only did we work with the SDGs, but we encourage creativity, imagination, right? We make them feel and to be totally aware of what was happening in the world and to be able to express themselves, right? And the final project, this final outcome was just simply to create an interactive game with all of the SDGs. And it was a game that involved different challenges, role playing, problem solving, and giving the students this opportunity to apply once again all of their knowledge into a meaningful and engaging format while having fun. So, we allowed them to apply to their critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and to show empathy, to know how this world is working and what is going on and how we can all help. So I really hope that you can benefit from these ideas, that you can start making use of the SDGs in your classes, because you know that small changes in your teaching can spark big thinking in your students. So thank you once again. Bye.
Wow, that was a great way to implement global impact through sparking creativity with the SDGs to develop global awareness and empathy. Thanks again for joining this live session as part of the Global Impact Virtual Conference. From our whole ISTE Plus ACD Community Leader Global team, we are so grateful for your participation today. Please continue participating in the Global Impact Virtual Conference by joining our Educators Launch or by joining the next live session. You can find the information at our website, including content from our Global Impact Conference last year. Our next presenter is Nathan Haynes, and it begins at the top of the hour. Thanks again for joining. See you next time.